Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your good friend, Rafa Sparza. Bruce Buffer just said moments ago, we are live, which means only one thing. We're live as well. We have an action-packed night full of fight commentary needs for all of you guys, and it starts off with UFC Vegas 4, or UFC on ESPN 12, or UFC ESPN, we're running out of fucking subtitles, whatever you want to call it. I'm excited about today because not only do we watch these fights, but a little bit later, we're going to be watching a little bit of Third Coast Grappling. And I always love to support those guys because they've got a monster card this evening of folks, many of whom we're very excited about. They're now doing the introductions. Jordan Griffith is looking like he wants to shadow box the cameraman, and my camera froze, which I guess is as good a time as any to introduce the peanut butter to my jam. One, Star-Lord, Josh Ledoux. How are you doing, sir?
Perfect, man. I guess that's a good, segue there. Me being peanut butter because I got the protein, and you being jam because you're the sweeter of the two of us.
It's true. It's funny because I looked back on our ADCC fight companion as we were rebroadcasting.
Oh, you mean the one that was happening during my bachelor party?
Yes, and the thing is like Flow Grappling was trying to be very elusive and saying like we're re-airing it. I was like, well, fuck you guys, I am too.
Yeah, fuck those guys. Dude, don't even get me started on Flow because I've been hearing some shit from people that work with them about my little escapade at Jits Kings and all that bullshit. So
oh no,
I got a little something coming for Flow here in the next little bit. So
good for you. I mean, here's the thing. Mine is usually a theoretical like fuck Flow, but like at a roast. Yours is getting to the point now where it's becoming more of a Scorsese movie and there's bad blood. So
they hate me, man. Like, and it's just fucking Ricardo. Like, he hates my fucking guts, and probably I will too, just because I still give him shit about the Red Belt documentary. Did you see Aguzi blast him in the Grappling Industries group?
I did not. No. Oh my god.
Oh my god, it was amazing. And then Emil tagged Ryan McGuire, and he was like, "Hey, if you want to be the real OG here, like get your commentary guys to bring up the Red Belt documentary while Hywell's on commentary."
I mean, dude, the worst part about it is I don't know if there's any nicer way of saying it, but I don't think there should be anything wrong with any accountability that says, where is the thing we gave money to?
Yeah, didn't they give like $15,000?
I think it reached about 20 is what I remember hearing. And I think the weirdest thing is, in terms of Hal's response, and Hal and I are fine interpersonally, but in terms of a response when he would just be like, oh, okay, yeah, you're going to bring that up, huh? And I go to other people, and I would just look at them like, yeah, I think that's going to follow you until it gets released. And then even when it does, it still stands that somebody might not still be happy about it.
Yeah, I mean, like 4 years later, if they even put something out, because weren't they supposed to do a bunch of incentives for like the people that donated to like give them shirts and crap like that as well? I don't even know. Like, I don't fucking remember the exact stuff, but I remember he came out and he was like, well, let's see, I had a bunch of hard drives failure, like a fire that burned down a bunch of the shit. And I'm like, oh, okay. So your hard drives that are costing like what, $300, and the cheap ass filming that you did somehow adds up to $20,000, and now you're in bed with Flow. I wonder what happened there. Maybe a little bit of investment money, perhaps.
I mean, I just always think of it from the perspective of, yeah, dude, you're just not gonna win this one. Like, you need to always change the subject, or just not acknowledge it, or just do whatever, because I think every time I've seen a response from him as a PR person, I go, you should have actually not said anything.
Yeah.
You probably would have been better. I mean, the whole thing is like, dude, I've had projects that I've sat on that I've been like, hey, I'm fucking busy. And then sometimes I choose to do other things, but I've never harmed anybody by not doing it.
Oh, yeah,
and
100%.
The whole thing is like, if something hasn't worked out, I've always reached out to the person to say, hey, listen, this just isn't going to work right now. If you're willing to wait, I've got these projects. But, I mean, the hard part about being in production that I don't know that a lot of people understand is sometimes projects just go into limbo, and it's just what happens in a freelance economy where it's like, hey, dude, I got to make money too. So it's nice that you're working for this person, but I think you should understand, until this sport is sustainable, you got to do what you got to do. And I don't disrespect you if you need to do something drastic.
Yeah, 100%. It's the same thing with promoting events. Like, and even before the whole COVID crap, like if an event had to get sidelined for whatever reason or tabled, or, you know, maybe I went to a different division, it's like, you know, that's the nature of the game. You know, like things are moving at a rapid pace. When an opportunity presents itself, sometimes you have to go for it, you know? And if that means postponing something or putting something in limbo, it's like, I'm the same as you. Like things come and go. I've never done anything to like knowingly harm someone or like defund them or like cause problems that way. But if an opportunity comes up, I'm fucking ADHD. I do a million different things at once, and I'm gonna keep going around, you know, and doing that shit.
So I would say this. I would just tell the people on Flow. I just saw that they were repurposing content, and I couldn't figure out why, because I was like,
yeah, they had so much content recently.
Well, I was just thinking like, oh, I guess that's good to celebrate ADCC, but they're going to come up on a weekend where they're not going to have anything. So why would you waste it on this random weekend when you've got Third Coast Grappling tonight? Unless yeah, but I'm thinking like between those two things, you should be covered for the weekends. So normally if you're doing like network strategy, this is when you are a repeat kind of a thing, which this is, but it's the biggest repeat they got in the library.
Yeah, and look, man, like shit's spiking with the COVID. Like I don't know how many events are going to be still going on under the Flow platform, you know, because like Florida's spiking. This is where Jits King is. You know, Texas is spiking. That's where Third Coast and Fight to Win have been running their events. Like, what else do you have besides those three events? You know, Kasai's not running events. Who's still running events? Fucking Submission Underground and me. Oh, and the Finishers guys. And those are all under platforms that they don't control.
Yeah. So anyway, but what I did notice that they were putting it up, all I could think of was, yeah, I'm going to just throw mine up too. And I will say it's nice to revisit so much of that, because to me, I laugh at the absurdity of you're commentating an event that is happening, and we still make it last where it doesn't depend 100% on the commentary, because everybody does their own thing. Like the stuff that you were doing for analysis still would apply to many of those grapplers, even outside of that tournament. And I think that's the purest form of what we're trying to do here for replay value.
Honestly, I don't remember my analysis at all.
Oh, I remember. And the only thing that really, like,
sorry, crazy shit happening.
I think you're like a split second ahead of me on this one. Right now, I'm looking, and just to fill you guys in, I'll put the bottom placard in a second. But this is Zalal versus Griffin, and I'm very excited about this fight because there's been a lot of awkward transition. That dude ate it on the fucking leg. It does not look like he's able to plant on it anymore. Zalal in the red shorts, Griffin in the black shorts, and ooh, nice knee, dude.
I'm excited about this whole event because I'm doing a lot of action, and I'm excited for Hubler as well. I'm not in his pool, but I'm just doing. I actually jumped on one of those guys that fucking sell their picks, you know, because they I jumped on one of those because they're doing really fucking good this year. Like if you're betting $100 a fight, they're or $100. Oh god, this is a crazy fucking fight. They're up $12,000 over the course of 6 months. So I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ! Like I didn't get on this.
Bro, it's no different than you being like, hey, blue belts, come get in on this. And then you find somebody who's making money and you go, hold on, I'm going to do that one too.
Yeah, exactly.
Because honestly, dude, that's the nicest thing. And it looks like a lot of that's paying off for the kids. So that's looking really good, dude.
Yeah, they're doing something, man. They're doing something right. And yeah, it's a very interesting time in the sport in general because people are starting to realize that, you know, maybe the competitor archetype isn't the one that everybody wants to be because it is very fair weather, which, I mean, those of us who've been in the sport for a while know that, you know. And Gordon said something the other day, and obviously doing it and spinning, making himself look awesome. He's like,
sure.
I'm the first one that has made $1 million in grappling without owning a school. It's like, yeah, but there's some nuggets of wisdom there, you know, like the business owners and entrepreneurs in any combat sports are usually the ones that make money, not the athletes. And it's nice to see people starting to realize that again.
Yeah, I mean, the toughest part, I think, for anybody in this industry is not jumping at every opportunity, because you just feel they're so rare that you just say like, oh, I need it. I just let me do this. And sometimes you want to say, hey, pull back a little bit, because your value does go up the less they see you or the less they have you at their disposal. So to me, I understand that. And that's why I put such a premium on people saying like, oh man, Flo didn't give me this match or do this. And I go, well, be creative. Show how you did it. Make that your footage instead of theirs. All they own is the event. They don't own the technique. So if you find a way to be creative to show it or do your thing or your brand to it, you know, you solve a problem right then and there. So again, it's thinking outside the box, which is getting to the entrepreneur spirit, which is difficult because a lot of the guys go, I just want to be good at grappling and make money because I'm good at grappling. And that's like 10% of the dance.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing it in combat sports in general with this. Like, obviously, the UFC is paying less. Grapplers are getting paid less because of the whole COVID thing. Like, look, you need to learn how to market yourself and pivot into other avenues of income, you know, and that's just life in general. You know, we're in a time where everybody needs to have a side hustle, you know?
Absolutely. I'm going to do a couple things here real quick. We're going to go ahead and pull in some comments. The first comment we got right now is from Dane Donovan that says, Griffin is gassed. And I have to admit, yes, he does look a little gassed. Yep. I would admit I'm also gassed. So I guess I'll say that as I get a beer so that he can judge me when he sees this. Because I don't know if you've known this, though, Star-Lord. I would tell you this. Since you've been gone.
Since you've been gone.
We don't own the rights to that. Don't sing that shit. I know too many people who work at the Kelly Clarkson show. They'll be like, Kelly, he's using the song. I would tell you this. There have been more and more of the athletes that are seeing what we do without me tagging them. So when Mason is watching me and is being bitchy that I didn't pick him, and I was like, I didn't tag you in anything. And he's like, yeah, I did a weird search. I said, show me Submission Underground, and you Yahoos came up, and I go, and did you watch it? He goes, the whole thing, and you didn't pick me. And I go, well, I didn't pick anybody.
You know, it's hilarious because I would have been in his good graces because I said from the beginning Mason was going to win that whole thing. That guy's a fucking savage.
Well, keep in mind this, though. You cannot replace ADCC experience. So yes, for a lot of these guys, granted, it's going to be a little bit more fair ground for them in a rule set like this. But that man can really grind, like, and especially if he's already put it to Craig in a match previously where I said, man, that's a really good match for him. And I have to be honest, and this is, again, no disrespect to Roberto, but on paper, somebody who gets submitted with leg locks versus somebody who had a epic match at ADCC sounds like a better match with Mason than it would for Roberto for Craig.
Yeah, 100%. I would, looking at the odds, I think Mason's going to be a heavy underdog, and I love Craig, but with the way he was finishing everyone in overtime, I would throw some money on Mason just to get that dog play.
Yeah, and think about it. If that's a 5-minute rule set, okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
You know what I mean? Like, okay. And I kept telling Mason, man, I was happy for him. And I said, man, you work really hard and you should be in this conversation. So that's not anything that any of us have a discrepancy about. It's just, bro, 5 minutes feels like not enough time.
Oh, yeah, it definitely isn't. And I think Heather and Chill have all said that it's going to remain 5 minutes, you know, at least for my shows. Right now it's 10, but I think I'm going to drop it down to 8 because I think we had this conversation previously that statistically in the last 2 minutes, there's not that many submissions.
And honestly, like, not only is it fewer submission in those last 2 minutes, but God, why would you keep your chin out like that? I know. It's dumb. I mean, that's what happens when you're tired. I like it to try and pretend to be Mayweather, but you know what? I got people who I strike with who, when I leave my chin out like that, I get that like nice little soft touch, and I'm like, ow, you guys didn't even fucking really jab me. That fucking hurt. Fuck you.
You know, I didn't realize that Zalal has 0 ground game when I picked him. I think he's still winning the fight just based on damage because Griffin is controlling but not really doing anything with it. But Jesus Christ, this kid needs to get a fucking at least some takedown defense.
Yo, this was exactly what I was saying with Curtis Blades, where I was like, hey, bro, since you're winning so much in these first couple rounds, maybe now is the time to try your submission game.
Yeah,
because, dude, you have the control. Why would you not want to utilize this time when you've got broader prospects looking ahead of you?
You know, Curtis, I was not impressed at all in that fight. You know, he faded. It sucks because I'm a big fan of Curtis. I met him a handful of times. He's a fucking sweetheart, but he did not look good, especially in that 5th round of that fight. You're right. He needs to adapt a submission game, and I'm not sure if he's going to get that up there in Colorado. You know, yeah, they have what's his name from Easton's, Elliot Marshall, but you need to get who was the guy that was Brock Lesnar's coach for a while, especially for
Doofus? Wait,
Nelson, Greg Nelson.
Okay, Greg Nelson. Sorry, thank you.
I think someone like that would work very well for Curtis Blades because he's got the big guy submission factor as well as like that old school kind of catch style.
Yeah. And I mean, the hard part to me was I always think of it like it's weird to put this in this context, but when he was clearly outclassing his opponent, the first thing I thought of was it's like, dude, this is like when you get that white or blue belt that you can mess around and you can start figuring out your new techniques on. Because to me, dude, if you're trying to make that argument for being first in line as a contender, you're going to need a little bit more well-rounded of a game because this shit's just not going to fly. And at the same point, when it was that 3rd, 4th round and he got popped in the face a couple times and he looked and I was like, you better not lose this, dude. Like, for all the fucking work you put into this, it would be only the most sweetest revenge for Khama that you don't win because you're not utilizing the submission game. But again, easier said than done.
Yeah, and you said it exactly. When you're outclassing an opponent, you're trying to make yourself the contender, especially coming after. He doesn't have 2 losses to Ngannou already. Yep. Like, you need to have a good finish. You know, you can't go out there and just grind out Volkov.
And keep in mind this, I just like the fact, I'll read a couple of these comments in a second. I just like the fact that as I'm watching him do it, I'm happy for him. I think it's great. He ends up with the win no matter what, so great for him. But when Baldfather gets back there in the press conference and goes, yeah, that shit won't cut it. Fuck him. It's like, dude, that's your meal ticket to that fucking prize fight. I don't know what to tell you. That's the guy you got to go through, unfortunately. So let's talk about a couple of these comments because Quentin Rosenzweig is saying, how many beers till Josh starts talking shit? Problem with that. Already has.
Yeah, and I'm drinking water right now. I haven't had any alcohol today whatsoever. I figured, first couple fights, let's start with some water because it's going to be a long night. Might as well.
I like the fact that you're like, I haven't had any alcohol all day. And I do suppose that to me, I can still see the sun out. So to me, I just kind of go like, I don't think that's a huge accomplishment. But yeah, I guess it makes sense on the East Coast time. 2 says, how many beers until Josh starts talking shit? I don't think he needs beer as like a lubricator to talk shit about people. And then Dane Donovan says, Griffin with his hands down getting punched in the face. Aha, what the hell? Bro, I know, man. I would tell you this, though. I would somehow sacrifice part of my head as a good defensive strategy because it is the least vulnerable part of my body. It is really hard. It's really dumb. And it's hurt people just when they hit it. So,
well, it's because you and I both have those 5 heads, but I don't think Griffin has that. I mean, that was an interesting fight. It was fun to watch. It was sloppy as fuck. Like, Zalal, if I'm going to put money on you again, fucking get some takedown defense.
Can I tell you this, though? I'm excited again for our next fight. So we'll get to that in a second. But Kay Hansen and Jin Frey, which should be really cool. Let's see here. Aaron Will says, Ledoux, what are you going to teach at Woodstock?
That's a good question. I have no fucking clue. Depends how hungover I am.
Hey, bro, you know what one of my best moments with Jean-Jacques was? En route between him doing a seminar He's like, we do a quick interview, and I go, hey, when do you decide what you're going to teach? And he just goes, like an hour before.
Yeah, pretty much. Because the thing that happens, yeah, he says murder, hopefully. Yeah, that's probably what I teach. But the thing is, I teach so often, I teach daily, multiple times a day. A lot of the time it comes down to the questions that I have or the mood that I'm in. So when I teach morning classes, I'm trying to teach stuff that will fuck up the night class. And when I teach night class, I'm trying to teach them stuff that'll fuck up the morning class because I like to watch that as an instructor. But my game is very fluid and it's very transitionary based and flow based. So it just depends on what I'm working on at that time.
So we do have a winner, unanimous decision, 29-28 judges scorecard for one Yusuf Zalal.
All right, I'm 1 for 1 on the hits tonight.
I am intrigued by that. Dude, here's the thing. I think that Jordan is building some great momentum with that. So I'm very, very happy and very pleased with him because on paper, a lot of people saying they're going to put together a BJJ Woodstock sounds terrible. But with him, he's not only destined to prove it, like kind of mentality, which I think is awesome, but I think he's also at a space where he realizes this isn't just good for the community, but it's might be something that's kind of cleansing. It might be something that's kind of like, hey, listen, this COVID thing has been a shit show, dude. We just need a win. Jiu-jitsu needs a nice win for the people because competitors have gotten wins in some places when they get to compete. But by and large, the jiu-jitsu community is like either not training in secret, or having some restrictions with their training, which is not fun.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, on paper, if anyone else did it, I would be like, fuck no, But when Jordan started doing it, I was like, yeah, dude, like I'll fucking come out and do that because I believe in Jordan, He I may not agree with all his political views or all that stuff, but that doesn't matter. This is jiu-jitsu. We're here trying to build the community up, and we're either going to be a massive success together or a massive failure together. And that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah. And again, like he already has a record of putting on events and being kind of a showman for his city. So for me, I'm just thinking like, hey man, we're excited to see what it looks like. So I feel like though, if it was somebody else and I have to do that talk show host call to them or that message, it would normally be like, hey, you want to tell me about that thing? As opposed to, hey, you want to tell me about that thing? It'd be, yeah, you're doing something. I guess I should figure out if it's going to fucking suck or not. Because I try to reach out to everybody. And, sometimes they're good and sometimes they're not.
I'm really interested in his whole democracy dollar thing. And I forgot that before this, he was such a huge Yang supporter. Like he was going to his rallies and stuff like that. So he's basically taking the platform of Yang and taking it to jiu-jitsu. And I also like that he kind of knows his place. It took me a while when I was bouncing back and forth with Zapatero. It's like, am I trying to become EBI or am I trying to become like my own thing? He's realizing he doesn't need the Gordon Ryans of the world, and he doesn't even want them. Like he said, he doesn't want Gordon. Like, I don't want to work with any of these fucking big name guys anymore that want ridiculous amounts of money because they're morons. I've always been a fan of the up and coming aspect of it. Like I've gotten to help bring Craig. I mean, I don't want to say I made any of these guys because I didn't, but I've given these guys an arena to showcase their talents coming up, like Gordon and Craig and Taza and Ethan and Kalestein and Krikorian and all these fucking monsters that turned out to be really good guys. And Jordan has done the same thing, and he finds the joy in that. And that is what draws me to this whole festival, because he's saying he wants to give these guys with the skill, like the Aaron Harris, William Tackett match. Like that's fucking amazing.
That's a great match, dude. I was so proud because I looked at that match and I said, yeah, Aaron is somebody a lot of people sleep on too. And that is a remarkable thing for him with Williams' momentum that he's catching right now. It's the same thing. It's part of the reason why I think our group of yokels that come together on this, we gel so easily, is because in our own way, we all kind of build the new talent. And so to me, it's like, I take it as a compliment when I see the people suddenly being interviewed by Flo, because they're not the first ones. And usually if I see them and I think it's good, and I have a policy, which is you don't have to win to talk to me. You just have to show me something that's really unique and that really is like you're busting your ass. Because sometimes the people who win are the people who play it safe. And those aren't going to be great interviews. The people who are grinding and you get that raw moment, like there's nothing funnier than when a fighter I pull over and they'll be like, why do you want to interview me? And I go, did you see what you did? Like, you don't see it yet. You'll see it in a week when people are messaging you tomorrow and the next day. And they said, dude, you fucking did it. Like, those are the people we're interested in because you'll see them as the future superstars.
Yeah, exactly. And, you said our community of yokels, like I had a conversation with someone recently, like that whole mentality that Rogan has with his guys where they made their own network without being a network, like I feel like there's a few networks in jiu-jitsu going on right now. And it's obviously like you have your Flow Grapplings and they're like the biggest actual network because that's what they do. But then you also have this like underground, like, I don't even want to say underground because it has that connotation that we're like lesser. We're like the free market, like do this shit for free because we love it. We're that democracy dollar that fucking Jordan is talking about. Like that's us, and it's just, the guys that come on this fucking podcast, and I'll even throw like the Jiu-Jitsu Times guys in there as well because they're very supportive of what we do, and they're all for putting it out there for the eyes for free, and it's nice to be able to see, even if we get a little jaded, it's nice to be able to see what we do pay off to help out the good people in the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, dude, the whole thing is, it's the only way the thing becomes a little bit bigger. I'm not saying there could be a jump, there could be a leap at any given moment, sure. And a lot of that comes from television. That's the real big component. With the fact that we don't have TV puts us at a huge disadvantage. And as somebody who works in TV, there are things that I learn every single day that I go, oh, maybe this would actually be of use in my community. Let's do that here and be unique as the guy who does it like this. Because playing just to be okay with internet is great for the future. The internet is going to be where everything's going to go. But like right now, this UFC will have an impression of 3 million people watching it live right now. And then the +7 plus the internet views of the clips and the way they do SportsCenter will go up to anywhere between 7 to 10 million. And that's kind of what you're starting to see is don't just think of what the first day is, think of what the next month is going to look like.
100%. And we're talking about these up and comers. Like, here's one that we both fucking know, and is near and dear to the heart. Kay Hansen. Like just the Kay. And to speak to about her boyfriend, Keith was just out in wherever the fuck Brothers 8-man tournament was today, and he just won that, obviously. So
who won that today?
What? Say that again.
Who won today?
Keith.
So Keith did. I didn't see. Keith has been radio silent, and I can't tell if it was in part that Kay was there, but I was looking at the brothers. I didn't see he was there. Good for him. Of course he was going to win.
Yeah. So Keith won, and now we got Kay in the UFC, and there's a chance that we have, the power couple coming out ahead tonight on both sides.
That'd be really fucking dope. And again, the thing about Kay is that she's been cutting in her time over at Invicta. She's a good fighter. She's scrapping. She's had a diversity of fight experiences, which I think is important when we get to a stage like this. She's had wins. She's had take it all the way to a grimy finish. She's had all of those sorts of things that I think make getting that call in like a week and a half's notice perfectly fine and reasonable to say like, all right, this is a good showcase for her.
Yeah, dude. And I love the way she fights. Like she reminds me of like a Fedor with a little bit more submission prowess, Sure.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see her tonight because she is a scrapper and she's a fucking sweetheart. I remember sitting at the Fight to Win. It wasn't Fight to Win, sorry. It was the event that Subversive, the Subversive event that she competed on, and standing in the back with her and Keith the entire event and just talking shit, basically like we do here, analyzing these matches just in person. And she's an amazing person. I'm very looking forward to seeing her throw down tonight.
Well, I think it's always like one of those very interesting things when someone will see how Keith and I get along, and then she was already like, all right, you're cool, kind of a thing, because I think the world of Keith. I think he's a really good competitor and a good person. And I think that's not always the case with a lot of people. I think sometimes you get people who are extremely good at jiu-jitsu and maybe not the best of people behind the scenes. And then sometimes you get people who are super nice, but maybe their jiu-jitsu isn't the best. And they're active competitors. So you never want to sell any of that out. So when you get two like scores of 10 as both human and practitioner, it's a pretty rare occurrence. But yeah, just getting to interact with her and talk to her when, you know, Keith and I are just shooting the shit. And like, what's important to me is I do jokes at Keith's expense all of the time. And I think it's really important. I think somebody could walk into that conversation. Oh, well, come on, guys. I'm just a little guy. I'm not the, you know what I mean? I'm the underdog. And it's like, Keith, you just won the tournament that you were supposed to win. Oh, no, you guys thought I was supposed to win? Yes. You've won it 5 times before, Keith. So anyway, but yeah, seeing, and one of the things I think was really interesting is when Keith was doing a seminar and she was the uke, it was just, they were very effortless in how they did it. They did what was usually uke time or like the discussion time in almost military-like precision, where it was done within seconds. And I was like, damn, that was really, really well done for both those kids. Quick note.
Go ahead.
Dane Donovan says Friday night BJJ tournament at Apex, then UFC event the next day, all on ESPN and UFC Fight Pass. Data needs to get into grappling events, never mind boxing. I think that's what he's teasing with what they're doing with Chael. The only issue is I don't think Dana cares enough about grappling to put an investment of time into it.
Yeah, you need to get someone who really cares about it to do the Dana aspects of the grappling. And just, you know, like you said, you know, it reminds me when they used to do the Grappler's Quest on the same weekends as the UFC,
Yes.
you know? Something like that, but like you're saying, in the Apex, in the cage would be nice, but you just need to find the right rule set and the right guy to run it. And don't fucking look at me because I'm not the fucking right guy to run it.
I mean, I'm obviously the commentator, so
yeah,
that's
like I think I could matchmake and you can commentate, and then we just let everything else happen.
God, you know what though? And I think this is no offense to other matchmakers who aren't essentially your size. The thing that is nice about Dana being as big as he is that he's at least able to put himself as a body in between people that separates them. Some of the smaller matchmakers or people who have stood there when they don't have that presence, it becomes a little concerning for their health.
It's like when Joe Silva used to stand in the middle and he was like fucking tiny, and it's just like, what's he gonna do? And who else? Is it Sean Shelby now, the little guy that's in the middle? Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Well, keep in mind though, nobody beats their former head of their vice president, who had to stand between Cormier and John Jones, and did the worst job anybody has ever seen. I'm at Tail of the Tape. Are you there?
Yep, I'm at Tail of the Tape as well. I didn't realize that Frey is this much older than Kay.
I know.
So have you seen Frey fight at all?
Just a little bit, yeah. Interesting. I would tell you guys this. Couple things to note before we get into them fighting. I just want to give a nice shout out to Huber and Dino for sending this one. And I think you'll like this beer that he sent me. But this is, I don't know if you can read the name of it right there.
Hazy for Harambe.
It's a really nice one. This is from Evans Brewing Co. Thank you very much for supplying this. I'll be interviewing Huber very near in the future. But it was pretty dope that I had somebody come and knock on the door. I go over, and normally you're used to, especially in the age of COVID, they just leave it down on your floor, right? But this is alcohol, so they're just kind of like, they continuously knock, and I'm like, get the fuck out. Oh, it's beer. Yeah, I'm old. Thank you. You're good.
Oh, here's what's his face refereeing again. I wonder if he smells like booze and cigarettes.
Hey man, Keith Peterson and Dominic Cruz just need to like get in a car and go on a road trip together. I think that's the thing we all deserve.
That would be very
All right.
interesting.
Fight is about to start. Very excited for this one. Let's go, Kay.
So Frey's a southpaw,
Mm-hmm.
and she's more predominantly a striker, isn't she?
Yes.
Okay.
Whereas I feel like you're going to see Kay want to maybe start with the boxing, and then I was going to go straight to takedowns. Number one.
Yeah, it's always interesting watching the southpaws against an orthodox fighter because traditionally in boxing, you're really looking to keep your foot on the outside to open up your cross and not use your jab as much. But when you add in the takedown aspect, like that snatch singles right there all the time.
Yep. And again, like this just still feels like we're going to adapt to the new normal, but to somebody like Kay who's coming in the UFC for the first time, I'm just kind of like, you know what? If she gets used to this real quick and tonight goes well for her, this is going to be the form of the future in terms of how we do these events for the unforeseeable amount of time. This is a great time to get accustomed to this kind of fighting.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, I don't know how much of the octagon jitters are there now that there's no crowd. I mean, I'm sure you're like, do you realize the magnitude of the situation? Like, it's your first fight in the UFC, but you don't have 20,000 people screaming.
Yep. And I've heard from a lot of different fighters that we've interviewed where there's no audiences. Some of the guys seem to really like this because they like going into their zone, being able to hear their corners. I think that just initial feedback is it's the celebration, and sometimes when you're down and you need that like audience adrenaline. But other than that, everybody's been in a space of like, I kind of like this though.
Yeah, I know personally from a competitive standpoint, I always enjoyed competing in front of smaller crowds or even like I did a couple no time limit matches with no crowds and just in gyms and shit like that. And that's definitely something I enjoy more, not from the nerve standpoint, because I think at least for me, when I got out there and I was on the mat or in the cage, those nerves were gone. But just like you're saying, to hear your corner.
I would tell you this. When I'm like rolling with friends, there's almost like two different styles. I like having like a closed door session where it's just you and one other person, and then you just go no time limit, because to me, I think that's one of its purest forms. Mm-hmm. But if there's a crowd and we're like, playing around with folks in front of people, I end up doing shit to entertain the people, even when there's just like your teammates, because you're like, this doesn't matter. Like, this is just fun. And I wonder if for people who fight professionally, it allows them to keep the authenticity of why they like fighting. And when they get out there, that they don't have to worry about any other shit. Nice work here. I like that Kay is aggressively trying to get her down. And at this point, you're starting to see, I think you might be a split sec ahead of me.
Yeah, Kay's good, but she just took a kick right to the face.
Okay. Yeah, I just saw that kick. Hey, you know what? She ate it pretty good.
Oh, yeah, she's tough as hell. Her face is looking a little worse for the wear, but there's no fucking quitting Kay.
There was about a hit, I want to say almost about 2 minutes ago precisely, that she took where she just kind of was like, oh, okay, I saw her face go a little bit red. But at the same point, like, I think that first hit phased her more than that kick, and I thought that kick landed a little bit more clean.
Yeah, 100%. She took a left right down the middle that kind of made her nose a little red. But I think she's just trying to find the timing here because Frey's doing a good job of throwing the cross, pumping that jab a little bit, but using that cross really to keep her at distance and time the takedown defense as well. Kay's done a good job closing the distance, but she's just not able to get in on the leg.
Yeah, not yet. And again, you might be 100% right on her trying to pick up that time, because sometimes you use that one round as your intel round to be like, okay, listen, I know she's going to be hard to take down and that I might suck up some punches. But if we're looking at the stats right now, Frey's connected on 14 of 26 versus Hansen's 5 of 19 early in the round. We're probably going to see, I think, in the second round, hopefully if she has her timing down a little bit better, Kay probably go a little bit more controlled nuts for some takedowns.
Yeah, if I was in Kay's corner, I'd be calling to sit down on an overhand right, because you got her timed thinking the takedown's coming. She's doing a lot of level changing to keep her guessing, but I would just throw a big overhand a couple times there to put it on the radar and open up your takedowns a little bit more. She's doing a nice job with that lead overhand, though. Oh, there's a good right hand by Kay as well. That was a good round.
All right. That's actually, I like that. You're right. That was one of her best hits. And then open up the other, I believe, right hand afterwards. So good for her.
Yep.
All right. We go to a break for a split second. We need to catch up on some house cleaning, though. Let's do this. First and foremost, thank you guys for watching. Second, we have a policy on the show now. I don't know if you've heard of this, Josh, but those who share and like this program end up getting cheers. We've got a few that I'm just going to rapid fire because we had some folks who were at least giving us some likes. So to those of you folks, just some real quick cheers, shot offs. One, Adam Lowe, thank you very much. You gave us a heart, but we heart you more. Let's go over to Dane Donovan. Dane, you are such a fucking awesome guy. You're always commenting on all of our shows. We love you. We appreciate you. Kevin Bradley, we've already shouted you out, so you got to go back in the tape to find it. I'm not doing it again. And do you know Aaron Willis, Josh?
I do not.
Aaron Willis, though, he was the gentleman who was asking what you're going to teach at BJJ Woodstock. So he already seems to be a fan of whatever it is you're doing.
So, Raph, I'm going to go ahead and give something to your fans here. Everybody who shares this will be entered to win a virtual private lesson, or if I'm in your area, a private lesson for myself. So let's get this thing shared up because I like it when people watch me talking shit.
Absolutely. Dane Donovan just shared it right now.
Oh, okay,
so cheers to you, Dane. We appreciate you. We go down to the second round, both of them feeling themselves out. I do wonder, it says 37K on bet on Henson, not looking too hot right now. Live wagering odds, -200 on Frey, and that is from Fight Ghost.
Yeah, we need to get Hubler on here because he is the man when it comes to live updates on the betting lines.
Yeah, Dan is very solid on this, and I think that Dan is actually keeping tabs this evening on what is happening all night long, in addition to what he's got going on his side.
I'm waiting for my next pick to come in from these guys.
So are you doing in between rounds as well, or are you just doing?
No. So they picked Zalal straight. They picked Frey, and the fight will go the distance as their picks for this fight. Normally they said they'll send out the picks 15 minutes before the fights. I'm just making sure I stay aware because if we miss that, I'm going to be a little upset.
Understandable. We'll make sure to return here. Now this is where I think Kay has her best shot to doing it, but this first shot was stuffed. Frey looking very composed in it, very nicely so far. Oh, very nicely done though, Kay. Kay gets it with persistence and patience.
I like how she plays this half guard position as like a half mount. You know, she's triangling her legs to keep her in position here.
A lot of the times when I roll with MMA guys, I almost encourage them to like put me in this position so that they get used to it, so that I'm like, listen, you kind of want to keep me here if this is good for your business. If it's not, get rid of it. But I guarantee you, I think you're going to find more openings than you probably would consider.
Yeah, especially since I don't know if I've talked about it publicly, but I've gotten a couple of MMA offers recently. I've just been rolling with a little bit more of that mindset. I've been playing a lot of like what the 10th Planet guys would call like a twister setup, you know, where
Twister side?
Yeah, well, no, not twister side. It's a leg ride in wrestling, but
okay. Oh, I see. Yes.
You know what I'm talking about when you're setting up your what is that, the samurai roll from mount, like that leg entanglement. I've been playing with that a lot.
Since we were talking about them in this position, it was twister side is what I was thinking, but you're talking even before we get to here normally when they go from turtle in that transition from there.
Yeah, just that weird little leg hook they use before they enter the truck. I've been using that a lot to maintain control over people to land strikes rather than, you know, take the back. Kay's doing a really good job here now.
I'll be 100% honest with you. That has been my jam lately. There's a couple of guys who I'm rolling with right now that because they're a little rusty and they fight and they're severely better than me, they're now at my speed. So because of the layoff with COVID and for their own good, I've just been putting them in almost that exact same scenario you're describing, because I've just been like, I think this is one of the most beneficial things to you, both offensively and defensively. And if I can keep you here for a little bit and make you work, it's going to make you more honest when you're in like anything that you're doing, grappling, MMA.
100%. Kay's doing a real good job here, controlling and choosing her timing to lay in the ground.
And now she's going to get that. That was a great read on her part to try and go for that mount out there. But now you're seeing her just start to use this control up top, even though she's not exactly passed. A lot of times you'll see folks use this as almost like a bullying position to try and advance from here.
I like how she's using this underhook and head control to really make Frey uncomfortable. Now she's going to throw some elbows here as well. It's very nice. She's definitely winning this round. So we're looking at about 1 round apiece going into the third.
And more importantly, this is her style. This is her kind of game. And I think that that's one of the most important aspects in this second round, not only just to even it up, but to get her confidence in feeling like, hey, this is really becoming your fight if you want it to be.
100%. And the real question here is how much of this round will take a toll on Frey when it comes to starting the next round. How tired is she? Nice finish on that single leg when she popped her back up. That was gorgeous. Yeah, so I don't know. It's interesting because Kay should definitely be confident coming into this third round, but Frey has felt that and knows she doesn't want to be on her back for this third round, so she may have some fucking urgency now.
Yeah, I would assume that she's going to be maybe strike. I mean, that could be in Kay's benefit. If she's striking a little bit more wild, it might open up how she's going to get in those singles. So to me, I'm fine with it. It's just a matter of, listen, if you're Kay, you're feeling real good after the second round, and 100%. I think sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah, I think so too, especially in your UFC debut. You get a little bit of those jitters in the first round, got a good second round going in, build a little momentum going into the third. If she fights the same way, then she should be on her way to a decision here.
This is good. This is a good fight, man. This is already starting off things very nicely. Thank you to everybody who gave us some nice likes. Let's give a couple more cheers just very quickly. You don't get a full toast if you just give us a like. You have to share it, folks. If you share it, then you get a full toast. And you also get entered. Well, for example, Gabe Iacovino. I think I got that one closest as I've ever gotten it, Gabe. This one goes out to you, sir. You just shared this to you. Not only are you a gent, a scholar, you've been with us with Fight Companion since day one, sir. We thank you. We hope that everything is sounding perfect for the ears, and we appreciate you. Cheers to you.
Gabe's a good guy. I like him.
It's always been stand-up individual. We're now at the third round. I think you're maybe a couple seconds ahead of me on this one, but I'm at approximately about 4:37-ish right now.
All right, I'm at 33, so we're not too far ahead.
Yeah, we're in the same realm. We're standing up right now, and you're seeing Frey just move a little bit more in terms of her positioning, but no strikes just yet.
Kay, I like the look on Kay's face. She's moving around a lot more than Frey. Frey seems a little tired, a little heavy on her feet, not throwing as much.
Well, maybe I think that Frey may actually be wondering, like, what happens when I start throwing?
Yeah.
Like, I saw what happened in the last round.
That was a good left hand, though. Right as I said, she's not throwing.
Hey, but think about that, though. A full minute without throwing anything and still connecting is good, but it's initiated off of Kay throwing those first strikes.
100%. Yeah, no, Kay looks confident, and she looks like she's just pressing the action here. So I'm very, very happy to see that.
Nice inside kick over from Frey. I imagine that her corner probably maybe suggested to try and get those kicks in to keep a little bit of distance.
Man, I don't know, though, if I would be throwing those low kicks because Kay timed them a couple times. Ooh, nice shot and re-sprawl. Good re-shot by Kay. In on that upper body clinch, looking for those hip tosses. But Frey's got some good takedown defense here. But now we're in Kay's world in the clinch.
Yep.
Nice. Good try on that throw. Oh, she's stepping over for the back take and that arm lock.
Nice.
I don't know if she's going to get it, but she's in a good arm lock position now. Oh, shit.
She's got a pretty good armbar if you've seen her other fights. So this is what I'm hoping.
Oh, this is how Keith finished his fucking finals match today.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, wow. My. Good for Kay. That makes me happy. Wow.
Oh, man. That's dope.
They need to flip that up.
Oh wow. And she is crimson red right now. So good for her. Let's do this. We need to cheers her in a second, but normally we cheers these people. Sometimes we know them, sometimes we don't. In particular case, we actually do know her. So I don't know if you have drink near you, sir. We definitely want to make sure we do this one right. All right.
Yes, we do.
I'm going to let you take this one because, man, you were hoping for something like this, where the power couple would be able to have a celebration today.
So not only does the power couple get to have a celebration, they finish their matches the exact same way. Kay more with the arm lock, but that transition from armbar to triangle. Kay, here's to you. Keith, you as well. Here's to the power couple of jiu-jitsu and MMA. Proud of you guys.
So proud. Look at that. This is everything you would hope for your friends when they make it into the UFC. You get a good opportunity to show you're not just going to be one-dimensional. You're going to make it a scrap, and you're going to pull away with a victory, even if in the first round it looks like you may be a little bit behind on the scorecards. That's pretty dope.
Yeah, that made me very happy, especially that was such a slick transition from the wizard throw to the arm lock attempt. It was, yeah, she showed her heart.
I think that you have a similar reaction that I do with that position, which is for other people, maybe not in particular case, but for other people, that's a position that people slip off of with really simple mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was controlled, and I like that she's able to take her time. And yeah, she had arm bars, she had triangle, and I feel like, especially in MMA, that triangle is just so much more money. I like that transition personally because my arm bars suck. So I usually like to go into a triangle if I get that one. So I'm like,
and I mean, the other thing is she's down at 10th Planet Fullerton, and her and Keith, I mean, she's dating a guy with EBI Overtime Mastery as his DVD sale. So she's working that spider web position. And that's exactly what we saw. The entry to the spider web, great control, and then transitioning to a secondary attack before finishing the arm lock.
This reminded me, last couple times I've actually put an earpiece in to get the interview. I definitely want to hear what she's going to be saying.
Yeah, you do that. I'm going to go get a drink real quick.
Go for it. All right, guys. So let's going to go get a drink. So I'm going to go ahead and talk you guys through what we're seeing right now. Kay Hansen, if you're just joining us, ended up getting a huge submission win in her UFC debut. This is so great to see. Friend of the show, friend of grappling. And man, I think she's got to do the selfie first. Come on, Kay. Andy's got to get that selfie before you make it on over to your interview. They don't got to step and repeat. You got to get the selfie in there. All right. Kay's I think she's just stoked to do this interview with Jon Anik, and rightfully so. She has earned every aspect of it. So she makes her way on over that way. But while she does that, we want to say thank you guys for tuning in. We are stoked. UFC Vegas 4 or UFC on ESPN 12, whatever you want to call it. We're stoked you're here. Couldn't be happier. We have so much fight coverage for you guys coming up all evening long. My name is Rafa Sparza. Today I'm joined by one Josh Starlord Ledoux. We have great coverage. A little bit later, we're going to be watching the Third Coast grappling event as well. But in the meantime, we are going to be giving you the summary of what Kay is telling Jon Anik in her interview as soon as this pulls up on my interview right over here. So right now, Kay is saying she was not surprised by how tough she was. She had to work a little bit harder, but that she's pretty happy with the result. Anik's asking about the transition work. Kay is saying, hey, listen, not normally the way I like to do it, but if I'm going to get that Uchi and maybe try and get her off of her balance, I'll take it. And in doing so, that transition is going to open up the triangle. Last thing, Anik, you should probably keep her on for a little bit longer, please. Well, Anik's asking, what is it like to be making your first UFC walk? Kay says, hey, listen, I just got this call on Sunday. I haven't had any time to process it. Kay says, you know what? I don't know what it feels like because I still haven't processed it. Maybe I'll tell you a little bit later. She says that she feels amazed. She feels amazing. All of that sort of stuff. It's great stuff. John Anik wishing her a happy birthday next month? I don't think you can do that, Anik. It's not how that works. Jesus Christ, Anik. Happy birthday in 6 months. Good to see you. Meltail 6, we'll leave the light on. All right. Well, listen, Kay, this is so dope. If I remember correctly, I thought I saw that she was saying that she got a 6-fight contract, which to me is the best kind of turnout for that. So let's go ahead and pull that down. We're going to be moving on to another fight in just a few minutes. It's going to be one Philippe Lins versus Tanner Bosser. So very excited about that fight coming up, and we're excited that you guys are here as well. Yikes. Okay. Let me see if I missed anybody on the shout outs for the shares. Like I said, guys, you have to be able to share this in order to get some love and appreciation for this. We're just going to blindly cheers y'all if you just give us a little bit of love. But if you share and like it, we're going to give you a nice toast on air. So I'm going to go ahead and check all of our comment sections as well, because I want to make sure we're not just neglecting anybody who's watching. There's multiple areas where people are watching this event right now. So we're looking right at our YouTube, and I'm looking to see if we have any comments over there. And then I'm also going to comb our Periscope just to make sure that people are being served. Oh, my appreciation to good friend Chris Gagne giving us some love over on this side. And I'm very happy to say it does look like Star-Lord is back, and I believe he may have a beverage in hand. Do you or do you not?
Oh, I do. It looks like water, but it's vodka.
I was about to say, I was like, listen, dude, I know, having some water definitely is something a dad does, but don't go out on us just yet.
Oh no, this is about half vodka and half raspberry bubbly.
Good for you, sir.
Yeah.
It's like a little bit more of a cultured version of yourself.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I don't know if you guys have seen the photos of me recently. I'm not going to say I'm jacked and tan, because I'm not. I'm neither of those things. But I'm getting a little more thick boy fit. So
I was about to say, so you were doing that thing where you're like, hey, here's my beautiful wife being pregnant, and here's me also being pregnant. I was like, I don't think you can pull off this routine for much longer, dude. All things considered, a lot of us in COVID right now don't have the ability to look as cut, man. So you're looking pretty good, dude.
I will never say that I'm cut, and I'm sorry if you hear my dog whining in the background. She's crying because you said that I was cut. I will never be cut. I am a fat boy at heart. When I was fighting 185 at MMA, I would have a 6-pack, or no, I wouldn't have a 6-pack. I'd have a 4-pack. You could see my abs, but I'd still have love handles. So I am just growing my lats and my shoulders and my back to match the rest of my body.
I'm just so glad that your dog takes like the opposite version of a social justice warrior, and it's like, you're being too nice.
Oh, yeah.
I hate it.
That's my fucking job, asshole.
It's like, no one comforts my dad. You know what my dog is doing? My dog has found a comforter that we took out of the dryer and has proclaimed it as hers and has perched atop of it. So she's sitting there, and my apologies to people if they're listening and they hear her snoring, because yes, what sounds like a human adult snoring is in actuality my dog.
All right, Raph, I got to be right back one more time. My wife is coming in with my food, so I have to unlock the door.
Right ahead. We'll see you back in just a second. I'll hold down the fort while you go. Again, while you guys are on and with us, I'm checking everywhere here to make sure if you guys have questions, comments, concerns, hints, allegations, we address all of them on air, and we are happy to take your questions because you guys are always the sweetest to us. Whoa, look at this. Gabe, I think that's the closest I've ever heard you say my last name, Raph. Good job. See, listen, even idiots can somehow get it right. I just always want to say, when you do it, it looks to me, and I think this is where my dyslexia or some sort of weird learning disability comes in, where every time I see your name, it reads to me like Gabe Lacovino, sir. because it sounds like COVID enemy out here in Los Angeles. So I always think you're part of a gang when that happens. Dane Donovan, to you saying both of you need to run it. I think that's in reference to earlier when we made mention that Dana White should have grappling events, which, by the way, would be a huge proponent of. I just know that myself and Star-Lord are the guys who do a number of things really good and well, but we also recognize where our strengths are and are not. And I think that's what makes us a little bit more unique than most people in the sport.
You know, you said something about everybody taking on a lot of opportunities at once. That's something I do a lot. And I am man enough to say that I can't handle that shit right now. You know, like I enjoy the things that I'm doing and I enjoy the way that my brand is going. But running the grappling portion of a UFC event, that's not something I can do. I can match make and you can commentate like we spoke about, but we know where. Listen, I would get canceled so fucking fast because I'd get drunk on one of these things and who knows what the fuck I'm gonna say.
There's a great moment when I was watching the ADCC telecast where I said out loud, and I thought it, and I always think it, but I said there's a difference between the way I can act on here and the way that if they had brought me on as they were supposed to as a commentator for Flow Grappling on Flow Grappling. Like, I don't do the same shtick from one thing to another. When I go on Flow Grappling as a commentator, I would have been professional as fuck. But because this is me being at home, I get to do this. And I got to tell you, this is kind of more fun because over there, you're sweating it. You don't want to get names wrong. You don't want to have somebody listening at home and make them feel bad that you're disrespecting them, or, you know, if their family's watching and making them feel like, oh, they're bullshit, they're a terrible fighter, they're tired. Those things are heavy to keep on. And I got to tell you, in order to be honest and do commentary, you have to find a nice middle ground of fair to the fighter and fair to the fans. And sometimes those little Venn diagrams do not coexist.
Yeah, 100%. And honestly, I would just be pissing off a lot of people if I did that because I'm brutally honest, and that's not what people like to see. But this fight here, Raph, is something I'm really looking forward to because I've been following Bozer for a while. I'm Canadian. I never lived over in, I believe he's from Edmonton.
Okay.
So I've never been over that way, but I follow the Canadian MMA scene, and he was the unified MMA champion, which is one of the, it's kind of like TKO or what took over from TKO. And he had a great trilogy with the late, great Tim Hague. And then he went over to fight in Russia before he got over here in the UFC. So I've been following him for probably 4 years now, and I'm very excited to see him compete against Felipe here.
Nice. Well, that sounds good, dude. I mean, just looking at the way that both of their physiques, I'm like, yeah, you guys look pretty decently matched just from this. I don't know a ton about both of these fighters, but I like knowing a little bit more about his history just based on your description here.
Plus, look at that fucking mullet. There's nothing more Canadian than that.
It really is. And I'm a huge fan of it because, dude, my hair's longer for me, and it is weird. Like, I've been in a place where I'm like, dude, I cannot wait till I can get a professional barber to do whatever the fuck they need to do. And I'm just going to look at them and go, your choice, bro. I actually trust you more than how my head looks right now.
Are barbers still closed out by you guys?
So, yes, they are. I think it depending on the county. And because LA's had such high spikes, I think what they're doing is they're not going back to like, hey, everybody go back into full shelter. I think they're just like, we're just kind of hitting a pause on what we're at right now.
Yeah.
To not be stupid.
Yeah.
But in different regions, I think it's a little bit more understandable if people are doing stuff. It's just
so. Have you been following the numbers in LA at all?
Yeah.
What was the last spike or the last day?
I got to look at it again, dude, because I look at those numbers so much, and everything else takes a back seat because I'm technically in LA County. Mm-hmm. So that's a large net, but it's where the bulk of the people are. My wife, who is back to work, she works out more closer to almost like kind of like Ventura County kind of a thing. Yeah. And it's a different beast. And their numbers are a little lower in terms of overall who have been infected. But the deaths per capita kind of thing are a little higher because there are a little bit richer and older people out that way. So it just depends on where you are and
Yeah,
where.
I'm just curious because everybody's making Florida out to be the boogeyman right now because we're just shy of 9,000 positive cases yesterday.
Yeah, one
which
day
is
10,000 is
it's pretty fucking
significant.
crazy. It's pretty fucking crazy. But I just haven't heard numbers from anywhere else. I've just been focused on us.
No problem. I mean, I'll grab them a little bit later for you. We'll have some downtime, I'm fairly certain. As
I'm
we're
fucking
now
excited
watching,
about this.
hold on this, though. You're saying Bozer is backing up just ever so slightly. You were seeing Lynn's trying to push him and bully him into the quarter, but rallies around and starts trying to command the center again.
What time frame are you on right now?
Right now, I'm at 222.
Okay, that's similar to where. Oh, Bozer with the knockout.
No shit. Look at that. Dude, that's not even just a one-punch knockout. That's a Dude, I've never seen anybody almost cartwheel over the ref like that.
Jesus. I mean, he's always been known as a striker, but that was beautiful right there.
Yeah, we're going to get to toast that in a second, but I want to ask you, I guess, just a kind of logistical question. When he has the mullet, do you get like a tie for that mullet when you're doing the thing? Because I always feel like in grappling, that's a lot of hair to go around.
If I was him, instead of putting on the Reebok, I would put on a Canadian tuxedo for my post-fight interview.
Bro, that's amazing. Look at that, dude. I want to show me that one more time. Like I have some power. I like that Herb Dean kind of like drags him across and throws him. I think that's one of the better parts of this. Just dude. So first of all, I think he was kind of out on his feet on that first one, but it's the follow-up ones that are what create large and loud thud. Right.
You know what excites me about Bozer is he's relatively young, but that hand speed for heavyweight is something that is going to cause a lot of problems for the older folks in the division.
There, dude. And I always feel bad because that division is fairly old and it is hard to tell people that. Yeah, obviously you have a little bit of experience that goes along with that. But I always wonder, like, yeah, we kind of need to start developing that younger talent because yikes.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they feed Arlovsky to him next.
That makes sense. What a gig, dude, to be like, hey, Arlovsky, you get to go fight this kid next. And Arlovsky is like, bro, can I get someone my age or like someone that I could beat up every once in a while?
Yeah, dude. Arlovsky, didn't he win his last one? Because last time it was one of the ones we did a companion on, but he won by decision. So, I mean, that's a fight that makes sense to me. Take out the young new prospect to see if you can still hang with the top in the division. If not, take out a former UFC champ for Bozer. That's something I'd like to see.
Why the fuck not, dude? That makes perfect sense.
Is it what's his face fighting Verdum coming up too? OSP, right? OSP and Verdum, right?
I think you're right on that. It's always hard because with Verdum, I'm always kind of like, are we retired yet? Like, I always have to take them out. And you know what's even funnier is I went back and I started cataloging some of the photos that I've taken on site when I do coverage. And I had photos of Verdum and Gordon Ryan, which feels 5 years ago, but it was 2019 in February.
Jesus. Oh, thank you, darling.
Do you remember when the two of them were supposed to have their kind of grudge match that they basically created a combat jiu-jitsu fight night for?
I kind of remember that. And then it was supposed to be a 4-man tournament with big names, and then it turned into Thor and a couple other guys. What's his name? Yuri ended up taking it, right?
Yuri ended up winning. Thor,
and fucking Kevin Casey was in there. And I was like, what the fuck is he doing in there?
You know, Kevin Casey's always just on the call. Yeah. Like, he's always somebody that they just go, hey, man, if we need to fill in, we're going to pull in Kevin Casey. I think he is doing the interview, so I'm going to look and see if I can give you. John Anik is already telling him, hey, man, you look great tonight. And I'm like, yo, John, buy him a drink, bro. He's got a nice Canadian accent. He's saying to get his first UFC knockout is wicked. I think he's trying to angle for the bonus already. Anik says he's going to go and try to keep it brief, but apparently there were some compromises with his camp, I think just in terms of people that could be there. And Bozer saying that he did a lot of strength and conditioning and he felt a lot in his last fight. And he also mentions that he came in knowing that he did everything he possibly could. They are rushing a lot of these interviews where normally I've seen them take their sweet time. I think it's just because they need to fit in these 4 before the top of the hour.
Yeah. Well, that knockout will definitely speed things up a little bit.
Should be, man. That's why I think that they should be able to take the dude. Their interview with Kay was literally just like, "Hey Kay, how do you feel? You good? Okay, well, happy birthday next month." And she's like, "Cool, thank you."
She's turning 21, right?
I think so.
That's when things kind of went downhill for me, when I could legally drink in public. My abs started going away.
Hold on. I think he just surprised Anik.
With?
And he's already calling Maurice Green out.
Maurice Green. I don't know who that is, so good for you, Tanner.
So Anik is getting, there's a lot of wows by him where I think the two of them had beers and said they're willing and ready to go and fight on Fight Island. So I think that
sweet.
You get a lot of Anik going like, wow, that's incredible.
That's so Canadian of them. Hey, if I win over beers, hey, if I win tomorrow, let's go fight on Fight Island.
Hey, listen, dude, if you're healthy and you're fine, why not push for it, dude? The only one that kind of, it didn't concern me, but I recently talked with Christian Aguilar, who had a knockout about 3 UFCs or so ago. Yep. Christian's a friend. He's also in that same kind of group that Kay's in out here in Fullerton. Obviously, nicknamed the Beast, is a really great fighter. Got a vicious knockout. But when I said, "Hey, bro, so when are you looking to fight again?" He's already like, "Dude, I've already got my fight." And I go, "When is it?" He goes, August 29th. And I said, "That sounds great. Hey, aren't you supposed to have a kid on like August 1st? Yeah, sure.
That's fucking
We're
crazy.
good." And I was just like, bro, I could not imagine. But at the same point, it's one of those things where you say, that's where the momentum is right now. You can't.
Opportunity calls.
You know what I mean? Like, it's, and I'm sure even as you are looking at the ideas for, as you kind of alluded to, MMA fights, you know, if something comes up, I'm sure you would have to process it and look at it, even though you would have some changes in your family as well. So it just depends on the time and place.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, that's another thing with a kid coming, especially for him. He's fighting the UFC. Like, you got to make that money while you can, you know? And now is the time to make your name, because there's so many fights so often. Like, what was his name? He just lost to Jim Miller. He came off of that big knockout.
Robertson, right?
Yes, Carl Robertson. Like, he's someone that I now am going to watch every time he fights, because I saw him 2 times, 3 weeks in a row, and he had a great performance and he had a shocking defeat, you know? And it's a storyline. So, I mean, I don't know. You gotta take the fights while you can, especially now, because who knows what's going to happen with the COVID.
And I got to be honest, man, it's more of the honor of getting to fight Jim Miller that they have a good investment in you. So that's pretty cool. But to me, I also look at that as being like, hey, bro, I really wish he could have seen the angle that we saw with Jim Miller. Jim Miller is somebody you just can't leave that arm out like that. But at that same point, he had a good start to maybe potentially being out of that arm bar because he already had the right lift on it. The knee was already in the right place. But when he rushed it and lifted him, I'm like, you don't lift Jim Miller, dude. He's going to fucking take that arm home.
He's a savage. He's been doing jiu-jitsu longer than that guy's been fighting.
But again, good lessons learned. And I do wonder, I don't know the answer to this just yet because fight fans are fickle and crazy. But I don't know how people are going to look back at this period in terms of your fight career. Because I think there might be some leeway to say, man, it was a crazy time. Yeah, he lost, but he did take that fight on this many days, or he did do this. Because I don't think I can look at this in the same way I would things outside of how crazy they are. I think everything that takes place in the year 2020 is going to come with an asterisk.
Yeah, I think so too. I know myself, I'll kind of think like that, but I'm not the average fight fan. You know, we're sitting here on a broadcast talking about combat sports because somehow we're experts, you know, with quotation marks around that.
Right. People you can listen to while drinking a beer. Now, the nice part about it is I like to describe it to people is just what I was alluding to earlier with the ADCC difference. All right, if I'm on Flow Grappling, there's a very different style. And I got to tell you, man, you know, you can easily get intimidated by people who are black belts and all those sorts of things that got like all this process knowledge. They're very smart, or these great people that we call communicators or commentators. But when I listened, I didn't get to listen to the original ADCC commentary. And I didn't hear anything that I was like, oh, man, that's terrifying. Oh, man.
No, they should have had you and J. Red Labuto on one of those things. I don't know how the fuck. I mean, take this with a grain of salt because I hate Amendolia, but I don't know how the fuck Amendolia did commentary. Why was Robert Drysdale doing fucking commentary? And there was another one of the Brazilians. I was just like, you know, Jean G was doing pretty good. Was it Jean G? No.
Jean G,
yeah, he did a pretty good job. I actually didn't mind his commentary.
The hard part for me is that I was listening to it, and first of all, them not using Jay because they had an ultimatum, which was you either corner your guy or you get the call.
That's
and
so dumb.
To me, I think that's one of the most limiting ways to ever have anything. I also don't know why they didn't make the play to bring Keenan on at that time as a resource, not as a full commentator, but to bring him on because he wasn't doing shit. And I get it. Like, yeah, he's got pink eye or he's not feeling good. But at that point, dude, like, to me, when I saw Kenny Florian doing it, you know, Kenny is an okay presence, but it's literally just a passion of being able to explain, like, hey, guys, you need to go over to this mat right now because we are going to go over, and Gordon Ryan is close in on a submission. We're going to take you on over. Our gentlemen over there are going to go and feel you in on that one. Because, dude, when I was watching it, I just go, I would rather watch what we're doing if I had nothing to do with that. And it made me feel so nice because, this is about a year or almost a year later, and I'm kind of like, I haven't re-listened to our stuff. But no. I feel just fine now, having listened to some of the broadcasts as I was spot checking ours versus theirs. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, we're good.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're starting to see more and more that people are done with that whole buttoned-up suit look. You know, like they don't want to necessarily hear. I mean, there is a time and a place for it. And ADCC is the Olympics of the sport, so you can't have you and me eating burgers, drinking beer on commentary. But I think people are starting to appreciate this kind of thing more because of the authenticity of it.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm not complaining because I've already figured out that it's highly unlikely that I will be around for that on that call unless they call and ask me to do it. And they've already done that, and they rescinded it. So I'm just kind of like, if this is my doing my thing, I'm cool with this, man.
Yeah, it's always interesting to me to think about that debate because I've been offered to take my podcast on a couple different networks, and like I'm not even doing it as much as you guys are, and I'm sure you guys get it too. But it's like I would much rather do things my way, building my own brand and not have to deal with the bullshit of other shit.
I mean, the nice part about it is Rogan is a good example of, listen, dude, he didn't sell that shit until he sold it. But then when he sold it, he could sell it at a high premium because it's all his. And not only is he selling it, but he's licensing it to them. And so when you have all that back content, so to me, you know, one of the things that Kevin and I discuss, and that it's always very interesting, is I go, dude, I want old episodes on our fucking YouTube page. I don't think they'll initially do good numbers, and I don't care about that because every day there's another person on YouTube doing a Google search. And when that happens, if they feel your stuff, it's a new audience member. And those audience members become loyal, dude. Like, they show up, they're the people who listen, and they're the people who send in your comments and start being your avid listeners. So it's just a matter of, well, what do you value? Do you value a short-term payoff of, oh yeah, this sounds really nice, go ahead and take our content? Or do you value a long-term thing that you're going to be able to pay on for years and years on?
Yeah, it's something that people just need to realize is like, look, time's going to pass one way or another. We're all going to grow old. The things that we do are going to lay the foundations now for what comes back to us in 10, 15 years. And it's hard to think that far ahead. You know, I'm fucking 26. I don't do like 36. Like that sounds like fucking forever from now, you know?
It happens quicker than you think. I will tell you this, though. I feel like you just have to really all of the things that are negatives about our sport have very, very strong things that are good. So while we don't have other networks where you can say like, hey, listen, there's a CBS of Flow Grappling, there's an NBC of Flow Grappling, there's competition between them. Well, it means you own your content.
Yeah.
If you own your content, that's a good thing to leverage over time. And while it may suck initially, hey man, sometimes good content doesn't go bad. And I got to tell you, man, one of the things that made me laugh really hard is Kevin came on and did a fashion correspondent for the ADCC bit. And I remember I watched it in the replay and I said, dude, I could put this on now. And people would still go, yeah, that's pretty funny because everybody watched that ADCC. They've seen those photos millions of times. And there's a instant memory recall to it. So to me, I just go like, just do the work and don't think much of it. Just do the work.
Think when we're in ADCC 2024, you know, and you get to pull this back up and be like, go back to the archives, like the same shit the UFC does. Like, look at young Joe Rogan. Oh my God. And like all that bullshit, except you're not going to blackball Kevin when Kevin leaves for some reason, and you're still gonna say his name and not just like white him out of history. But you know,
Kevin and I have had a long like we've always talked about at what point does the group get yokoed, but I'm like, bro, we're what, almost 8 years into doing this, and it's just
the Yoko.
We've had a very important policy, which is just like stop it when it's not fun. And I like the fact that the both of us just jazz on making each other laugh. Everything else becomes secondary on being like, hey, listen, dude, finding a good sparring partner for this is difficult. And it's part of the reason why usually a lot of times it's like a trial and error when we do a fight companion. It's like, all right, we're going to try you out. We're going to bring this person on. If you don't mix, it's cool. Not a problem. But for the most part, we're pretty willing to say like, hey, listen, come try it out. See if you like it. Because I got a little bit of a spoiler for you, which is you do one of these, you tend to like it.
What? Is that why I'm still here?
It is.
Because I enjoy this? I was actually excited because I'm like, I missed like 3 or 4 of them. And I was really excited to actually come back on and be able to watch fights and talk shit. And, you know, it's a testament to the fun of doing this that I kind of got a little bored with the UFC for a while, and maybe a little jaded, but doing this stuff again has made me feel like that excitement that I did back in like 2010 when Brock Lesnar was fighting. It's shit like that, you know? Like I'm following it again, and I'm paying closer attention now.
Well, keep in mind, even when, you know, I think Jake's audition actually happened back in December. He came out for Nogi Worlds, and he and I were just kind of sitting back, and I go, hey, man, I'm going to go watch fights. Do you want to go watch fights with me? Because if you don't, I'm still going to watch them anyway. Jake's exactly like a bar-going guy, kind of a guy. And I was like, I don't care if you drink or you don't. I want to watch the fights, and they're going to be cheap at this place. So that's where we're going. And when he was watching it, he's like, dude, I don't even watch the UFC anymore. And I go, okay, we'll watch this. And as he's watching it, I just kind of watch how he's commentating, and I go, yeah, you're a little different. Like, you're not the same as everybody else, and that's important to have as a quality. And what I knew from then, what I know now still, is like, dude, he wants to be a commentator. And that's something that you don't just get all the time. Like, do I love the fact that when I see him on an event, he finds his way on the commentary booth? Absolutely. But there's no other way to replicate that reps without just doing stuff like this.
100%. Did he tell you the story of what happened after Jits Kings?
Okay, hold on. No, but I have intel on some of it, And it depends on which way you want to go, because I know there are multiple stories. So I know there's the story of what happened outside of where you guys went to go eat. And then I also know there was the story of what got eaten. So which are we talking
about? I'm talking about the story of outside where we ate. I don't know what got eaten. Are we talking about Spencer? About what got eaten?
No, what I'm talking about is between one young Andrew Tackett and Jake Watson happened and transgressed. It might not have even been that event now that I think about it, because the two of them apparently had an eating competition that I can only imagine happens for ungodly reasons, because these two kids are young.
That was not where I was, but spoiler alert, a fight broke out after Jits Kings at the restaurant we were eating at, and John Combs went full world star following the action with his phone for Snapchat and Instagram, and Jake and I were sitting here like, what the fuck? Do we start like restraining people, or like what do we do? And then my Florida man ass is sitting there with my hand in my bag, holding my gun just in case something happens. And I want to say that's where Jake and I became really good friends.
That's good.
Yeah. So this fight here, what do you think?
On this one, so I got to tell you, man, this one's tough for me because Khama has actually appeared on my show. So I kind of want to go for him.
That's who I put money on. So now we're on the same page.
You know, he's one of those other fighters who pre-COVID took one of those last-minute fights and had a really high upsell value. If I remember correctly, he got a pretty savage knockout. So might be wrong on that, but I think this might actually be one of his first fights after that big opportunity where he got slotted in. So let's see how that goes.
There's just something I don't like about evil Bob Ross's face.
Yeah, he definitely has like a Simpsons drawing version of Bob Ross, which is kind of problematic. Also, do we know anything more about his tattoo? Because it almost looks like it's a logo for a food product on the back.
I have no idea about his tattoo. All I know is he is one scary motherfucker.
Fair enough, man. So this will be an interesting one. I'm glad that you have a betting line with the heart that I've got on this one.
Yeah, well, I mean, they said it was a good bet, and I didn't know much about Worthy, but I'm glad I pulled it now. Now, okay, this is not racist. Let me say that first.
No.
Is it just me, or does he kind of look like Kamaru Usman a little bit? Like similar body type?
No, it's more racist than not. But I'll fill you in on this part, which is I think he has, with the hair, a completed look that makes you go, that is a fighter. Like the hair is a thing that if you saw him on the street, you'd be like, I bet that dude fights for a living.
The mini mohawk, yeah.
Well,
his hands are fucking fast.
But it's also a build. It's a way he carries himself. Like even when he was in the interview, you know, this was one of his big calls that he got from the UFC at a last minute, like super last minute on the card. And I want to say it was a pretty decent card. I'm gonna have to look that up in a second.
I really like his head movement. And this guy's got a fucking ass. Look at that thing.
But let's also look over at Pena's movement. Pena's kind of like not matching him as fast, but he's not moving slow either for him. So I think it's interesting because you don't really see a ton of strikes being thrown just because the two of them were like, how fast are you, dude?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, nice high kick there by Pena. It's interesting because I think Worthy is going to start putting a pace on him here. He's finding his timing. Wow, good sprawl there by Worthy, right to the front headlock. Looks like Bob Ross is trying to pull guard. Interesting. This might be just a weird stylistic matchup if Pena just keeps trying to sit and scoot forward like that.
Let's see here. This is very interesting to see the bloody elbow summarization of the fight that's going on, because it's like watching them do real-time play-by-play is a very interesting thing where I go, like they just basically said that he connects with a right hand and a kick to the body. And I'm like, it reads a little more exciting on here than what I'm seeing so far. It's not like it's a not cool fight. It's just like, let's everybody chill. They're filling each other out still.
Now that I see his face, he doesn't look like Kamaru. You're right.
I mean, you did the real footwork of that whole thing by saying, now this won't sound racist, which is usually just like a tuning whistle to might be racist. Wait a second. Hold on. Coming in strong.
But is it really racist if it's a compliment?
Yeah, there's polite racism.
Okay.
I used to get all the time in
there you go.
Kentucky, dude. When I lived in Kentucky, I used to have people who would pull me aside and be like, now, Raphael, have you gone to this Mexican restaurant? And I was like, you're adorable. I guarantee you're only having this conversation with me for one reason. And you know what? Of all the things, this isn't that bad. So yeah, sure, I've gone there. And they're like, oh, Sparza. That's like in Zorro. His name's Esparza. And I was like, exactly like Zorro. Correct.
Sparza, that's a little spicy.
So yeah, no, I've always coined it as polite racism, where it's just kind of like when you hear Asians are good at math. You say like, there are worse stereotypes, but you feel bad for the Asians that are like, by the way, not good at math. Shut the fuck up.
I think we need Dan Hubler now, the man who is Asian and good at math.
I mean, the worst part about Dan is Dan's the first person to tell you like, yeah, that fits. I don't know. No, Dan is the truth, dude. I like the idea that in the future, if I can pull in on these broadcasts, Dan is that little like guy who updates in between rounds and gives you the little summarizations of what's happening on the betting lines. Then I will feel like I have done a good job as a producer.
I'd 100% see him in that role, because I'm not going to say he's a little plain, but he doesn't have the robust nature of a Kevin. You know what I mean? Like same thing with Jordan. Jordan is the quiet guy who was also witty funny.
We've said this where I think Kevin and I said this in private, but I think it bears repeating because I would tell Jordan this too, and I think Jordan would even laugh about it. We go to a second round now, which is I think Jordan is the most likely to be on the telecast that we would have forgotten was on the telecast.
That's totally true.
It's entirely possible he would get so high that Kevin and I would be doing work and it would be the three of us on the show. And then I'd look down and be like, fuck, Jordan's still here? And Jordan would be like, hey man, yeah, I actually forgot I was here too.
Yeah, like me or hate me, you definitely know when I'm here.
It's just, I love that kid so much, but I think the hidden talent of Jordan is, and that's the whole thing about pulling different personalities. When I literally pulled the five of us together, I just said like, everyone is different and everybody could be the lead, but in this one, I'll moderate and do what I do to pull their crazy out and let them do their thing.
I like that. Pull their crazy out. That is.
Well, because think about it. When you hear Jake, who is a true young man who is a Christian who likes video games and does silly impressions and has a certain style of humor, on a same broadcast as you, who is going to be an opinionated, jolly
fuckwad,
is Kevin, who's going to be the inside the pocket wild card, and Jordan, the dude who's just gotten so stoned he forgot to press play on all of ESPN. Like, that's a good mix of personalities, and it's my job to always make sure like everybody gets a little play time and everybody looks good.
You know, we should just go ahead and call ourselves the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, that's the only reason I don't call it anything in particular. Like I in our little chat, I have a side holder name, is because I'm like, I don't want to pay anybody money. I don't want anybody associated with our shit. I'm just gonna call us what I call us because it gets us by and it gives a group chat name, so you know who's ever talking. And look at this, great fucking go into mount, and now taking the back by one Luis Pena. Now we're working on over to a head and arm triangle. Like, damn, dude, he's been watching the shit I've been working on lately. Good for him.
Damn it, Worthy. I was about to say how he was looking so good throughout this fight.
Well, here's the good news. He's not out of it yet. He's just not in a great spot. And honestly, if Luis does not continue with an actual submission here, which he seems to be having a few areas to do, that's not a bad little triangle for him, just in terms of just stalling him out. But at the same point, like, Khama does not look comfortable here.
No, and that's the thing that's worrisome to me is the fact that
he's doing the glove shit of like he's doing the no. See, the thing is because Khama is actually looking so uncomfortable with it, some of these transitions that aren't necessarily like super solid are concerning.
100%. I like how Pena went for that Wagner smother for a second there to open things up.
Okay, I need a second. So, listen, dude. I know my bag is always defense in jiu-jitsu. But, again, Khama's a friend of the show. But in the position he's in right now, definitely need that man's thighs to try and get out of that lock.
Yeah, I know. That was – you mean elbowed his thighs? Yeah, that was sad. You know, Khama, you have a friend here who is phenomenal at defensive jiu-jitsu. Why don't you just like hang out with him a little bit and have him show you some of his tricks?
Like, bro, it's okay. Anyway, I'm not gonna go down that route. I'm just gonna tell you this. I just get nervous because when you put your elbow down like that and it's not 2-on-1ing here, that neckline is exposed. And I understand in a fight you want to get out of that. The problem with this body lock he's got on you is it's not the most damning of all the body locks. So at the very least, you have a little bit more range of movement than you would normally. And the fact that he's like, dude, like not finishing here, if you did have a different sort of black belt, this would be donezo. So that's
I was going to say, you know, like he's still got 1:34 left on my screen. So like there's still a lot of time, but there should be a little bit of confidence here from Khama that he hasn't been submitted yet. Oh, and now he's out of his back. Good. That was nice.
Don't you like the idea that both of us have an extreme violent look to could we not?
Yeah, this is
God damn. Oh fuck, dude. Like I have to say this, unless you were fucking Ben Saunders, no one should even be remotely trying to get an omoplata in MMA.
No. Wow, I am really surprised at fucking let go of the fucking guillotine from side control. God damn it. I'm really surprised at the wrestling of Bob Ross here.
Yeah. Yeah, this is all right. Well, here's the good news. He can go back to mount and he can start doing his stuff here. And well, he's almost around the chin in a certain way. This is an interesting, you know what it is? The jiu-jitsu and wrestling that we're seeing right now is how I flow roll back into starting a roll. Like, I feel like the movement to me is always like, I'm going to let you sweep me. Now I'm going to come up on top. You can sweep. Oh, let's sweep each other at the same time and see what happens.
Yeah. That is exactly what it looked like, especially that last 30 seconds. It was, here, mount me. Oh, here, take my back. Oh, here, I'm going into your guard. Oh, I'm going to shoot a shitty triangle. I'm going to shoot an omoplata. Cool.
And bro, I gotta be honest with you. Like, there are some people who I roll with, and a number of whom are fighters, who do not let me have a warm-up roll. Like, the minute we go, there is no warm-up roll with some of these guys. And I get it, dude. They have to live a certain kind of competitive life. But my favorite is always, I've seen one MMA fighter in particular, a friend of mine, who literally gives everybody like a nice flow roll. And because he likes to go competitive with me, do not get the same. Literally same day, I'll see him be real nice with someone else. And I'm like, I didn't get a nice roll. And he's like, well, fuck you. That's why. I go, that's fair.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a couple guys like that too. I'll flow with people, but I got a couple of my guys, blues and purples, that are just like, oh, I'm gonna remind you when you let me get to a good position. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I guess I have to murder you all the time now.
That's the unfortunate thing is for not being as good as I am, I have what I call my little Justice League file, which is always my thing of like, listen, I don't want to do this, but I'm the Batman of the group surrounded by Superman and all these other meta humans. So if I have to pull this out, there's no going back. I have to kill you. I have to bring out kryptonite because that's the only way it's going to be that I don't die. Dane Donovan asked me and you. He says, "Who do you guys have winning the main event?"
Man, this is a really fucking good main event. I kind of think Hooker. I like Poirier, but I think Hooker is going to be a little too much on the feet. Poirier's submission game is definitely better, but I don't know if he's going to have the wrestling to get there.
Okay, I hear that. I feel, honestly, in my heart, like as much as I love Hooker on this one, I just want to go for Dustin Poirier. I would love to see him somehow find his way back into contention because there's a big X factor going on right now, not just for one reason, but for two reasons. One, with Khabib, we don't know where he's going to be mentally after a fight or two, especially with his dad, especially with how it's going to play out with him taking on Justin Gaethje. Like, we don't know how many fights. We don't know how many fights we have with Khabib left. If Dustin Poirier stays the course, this man could still be a champion. And I would love to see him back on that trajectory.
Yeah, like my heart says Poirier, my mind says Hooker. I don't know what these guys are going to tell me to bet on. I will let you guys know. So far, they're doing pretty good, except they bet against K, which was – I could have told them that was a bad fucking move. Like, come on.
It happens. And you know what, though? That's an unfair one because you do have insider trading knowledge. And that is sometimes a blessing and a curse. Dane did follow up by saying Dusty P, a.k.a. Dusty Poirier. Dusty P sounds like his wrestler name, by the way.
Dusty P.
Be like, my name's Dusty P, everybody. And hard times happen for everybody. It says it's a hard guy to stand up with. His stand-up is so fast and sharp. He has great cardio and is a very well-rounded fighter. You guys need to place a bet. Loser shaves their beard. Now, first of all, why would any of us do that to America?
Yeah, no, I do not want to shave my beard. My wife will not let me shave my beard. When I started dating her, so I lied to my wife about my age when I first started dating her because she was 26 and I was 22. Oh, what? Oh shit! That's kind of tight. Oh my god, he tapped him. Yeah, take that, Bob Ross, you son of a bitch.
What just happened?
He hit him with the John Jones Leona Machida guillotine from bottom side.
No, I mean, I saw what I saw. I still don't know how I saw what I saw.
You know, I think it was more he caught him hard coming in a couple times and those elbows, and then he slapped on the choke, and I think Bob Ross may have panicked or bitched out.
I mean, that's a good grip from right there.
Right here, look at these elbows.
That's the blessing. Yeah, the elbows look great, but this is a blessing grip. And dude, he's wow. Look at his leg position for the choke in relation to where he is. So as he gets this grip, once his back goes up against the cage, he falls down. It's a good grip. It is a weird body position because this dude could have still passed him or at the very least moved his body in a way that would have positioned him outside of the element of danger. Okay, we're going to come back to that. I'm going to have to do the cheers on this one.
Yeah, go for it. That was awesome.
Yeah, I need to compose myself before I do this one, though. Okay, here we go. This one goes out to you, Khama Worthy. First of all, dude, what an amazing turnaround of the fight. You were doing things left and right that were keeping you alive in that second round, but the first round was awesome. I just want to tell you this right now. The fact that you were able to find that choke, persevere, find your choke, get the win is not only fun and amazing, but man, it definitely kept me on the edge of my seat because I did not have that as that being the end of the fight that we were going to see. But to you, sir, I say congratulations for subverting expectations and giving us a great finish. Cheers to you. I'm a little.
Yeah, that was a really nice finish. So what is that? No, that's Bob Ross's third loss in the UFC.
So, yeah.
Yeah, because he did he lose to Frivola or did Frivola lose? It was a close fight. I'm trying to remember.
So it was Steve Garcia. He had a win. Matt Favola loss. Matt Wyman win. And Steve Peterson win. And Michael Tesoro was a decision loss.
Yeah, that's not looking good for Bob Ross right now.
So here's what I'm going to tell fans who are watching with us. We appreciate you. We love you. We are going to do – that was a happy little accident is the funniest fucking comment.
Did he just say that?
No. Like one of our commenters in the chat just said that was a happy little accident.
Oh, my God. That's savage.
Funniest comment. You know what? I always pin one comment to the top so that anybody who sees this in a replay will see the best comment. That's the best comment. You know, Aaron Willis, you get a cheers even though you didn't share this. I just want to tell you, that was fucking hilarious. You made us laugh. Cheers to you, Aaron Willis.
Now go share this.
Well, we're going to have to cut this one, though. So, Aaron, you're going to have to share the next one because what we're going to do is we're going to start a new broadcast for the main card that it will also serve as our link for those who are going to be watching Third Coast Grappling because I will be doing double duty on that one. And plus, we're going to have to break down this, but we're going to hear what Khama has to say before we cut this one loose. And very excited to hear you guys with your thoughts on whatever the fuck just happened because I'm still trying to rack my brain around what just transgressed. Khama Worthy is now talking with John Anik, and he is very excited. He says he feels good. He says it was a tough fight. And you know what? Khama's actually being really honest, and he says that his manager was trying to tell him, hey, man, you don't need to fight this guy. And he goes, I want to fight. Says that he's turning 34 in October, and he says he's willing to die if need be. Yikes.
That's aggressive.
I mean, bro, sure. He calls that a Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania guillotine.
Okay.
He calls Isaac Greeley is the guy who showed it to him. And he said Dave Sachs is the one that modified it for him specifically. He's also trying not to curse, apparently, while on here.
Curse away.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, let that to the censors, dude. And he's saying he gets the high-level training. I think they're trying to transition him out because I think they're close on time.
Yeah, they are.
My way of reminding you guys, we're going to go ahead and transition right now. So we're going to take a short break. Come right back to the at Grappling Hour. It is myself, Star-Lord. We'll walk you through the fights. We will be right back with y'all.